Let's take a look at the email you sent me. You say, "Hello, Michael. Good day. It took me some time before I was able to start my boot camp due to my busy work schedule. I would really love to hear your feedback with my independent speaking." You say, "Wishing you fully recover from COVID. Stay safe and God bless." I'm not 100% recovered, but I feel really, really great. I do feel much better this week. So thank you. So the independent speaking task that you're answering right now is your school has received funds from the government. Should your school buy new television or books? Okay, let's take a look at the email you sent me. You say, "Hello, Michael. Good day. It took me some time before I was able to start my boot camp due to my busy work schedule. I would really love to hear your feedback with my independent speaking." You say, "Wishing you fully recover from COVID. Stay safe and God bless." I'm not 100% recovered, but I feel really, really great. I do feel much better this week. So thank you. So the independent speaking task that you're answering right now is your school has received funds from the government. Should your school buy new television or books? Okay, Okay, I'm getting ready to listen to your speaking practice test. So let's see how you did with this
If
task.
the government will give funds to the school, I think it should be more invested in televisions than books for these reasons. First and foremost, the usage of television is very beneficial due to the fact that it is visually entertaining, thus helping the students to understand more their topics or discussion for the specific time. When I remember when I was still in school, we were discussing earthquake in our science class, and it's very helpful for us to understand all the tectonic plates and what happens during earthquake with the use of television. Secondly, another reason that supports my opinion is that television will be kept in school, which helped it not to become damaged easily. With the use of books, we can easily be wet. If the government will give funds to the school, I think it should be more invested in televisions than books for these reasons. First and foremost, the usage of
Okay, so let's take a look at it. So you got to the end and then I kind of let it go back to the beginning. It was hard for me to even realize that you had finished this response. You really need to work on that intonation. So that's one of my first impressions is you have to work on varying your tone more than you did in that practice test. So you see where the three it says minor difficulties with pronunciation. It even mentions by name intonation or pacing. I think pacing was pretty good, but you need to vary your tone a lot more than you're doing. You kind of speak in a monotone, right? So that's one area. I like the example that you gave. I think it was helpful. So let's listen to your response one more time. So my first impression is your estimated score is around 3. I'm going to say 23 points out of 30.
if the government will give funds to the school, I think it should be more invested in televisions than books for these reasons.
Okay, so first of all, these reasons, you don't have a lot of time to develop these reasons. You probably have enough time to develop maybe one or two reasons, right? So that's one of your first strategies is to limit your focus in the beginning. You might bring up if government does have money, they should invest it in televisions. Which will improve the quality of education among the students and make it much easier for students to concentrate on the teaching materials, you might say. So you mention those two reasons in the beginning, then you go on and develop each one. So I think it's better to be a little more specific than just say these
First and
reasons.
foremost, the usage of television is very beneficial due to the fact that it is visually entertaining, thus
Again,
helping
you go from these reasons to being entertaining, but that's not very specific. So that's another problem. When you start out your response in a very general manner, then the rest of the response tends to go in a more general manner. But then I have to look over here. You have overall development is somewhat limited, usually lacks elaboration or specificity. So that's going to cause you trouble. So I think that if you're more focused in the beginning of your response, you're more likely to have those specific details after that, and you won't talk about things in an overly general sense.
Students to understand more their topics or discussion for the specific time. When I remember when I was still in school,
Okay, now when you say, I remember when I was in school, why are you telling me this? Why not say something like, to illustrate, or for example? So by using a transition word, it will help you kind of show how your ideas are connected, make it a little easier to understand things.
we were discussing earthquake in our science class, and
Now, this is better because you mentioned the word earthquakes and you mentioned the word science class. So that's much better when it comes to the elaboration area. So that in that part of your response, you're not lacking any elaboration. You're taking time to elaborate, which I think is good, a good strategy.
it's very helpful for us to understand all the tectonic plates and what happens during earthquake with the use of television.
Yes, no, that was super strong, very specific. That's exactly what you want to do more of is mention examples like that, then illustrate them and show how the television helped the students understand the content in those areas more.
Secondly, another reason that supports my opinion is
Yeah, see, secondly, another reason you're at 36 seconds here. You don't have enough time to bring up a new reason and give examples to support that.
that television will be kept in school, which helped it not to become damaged easily. With the use of books, we can easily be wet if the government will give funds.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I think that the biggest problem there is you brought up this second reason near the end of your response, so you didn't have enough time to support that point. Okay, so then I think my score is pretty accurate. I think the good thing is you do need to adjust your intonation. You can learn about that by going to pronunciation lessons 36 through 40 in my online TOEFL course. That's a really good lesson for you right now. Um, I think you also had some topic development issues. So to help you with that, you just need to organize your ideas a little bit more effectively, beginning with the introduction, right? So I want you to go to TOEFL Independent Speaking Strategies. That's master lesson number 1. And I want you to look at some of the model responses. Look at the model responses first in terms of the introductions for each one. So how did I begin each response? And then secondly, how did I develop each of those responses? So I think that's going to be more helpful for you. Now, I think overall you can improve the organization of your ideas by improving what I call the coherence and the cohesion of your speaking. So go to TOEFL speaking lesson number, I think it's maybe 6, and it will show you, it'll give you some tools that you can use to tighten up the organization of your ideas. Those are things that you can also focus on right now. All right, and thank you for doing this practice test, and thank you for joining my TOEFL Speaking Bootcamp course. This is how it works. You send me a practice test by email. I send you feedback by email. You noticed in the email, in my audio file right here, I've already recommended specific lessons that you should be studying in order to improve your speaking. So that's your next step, is to make sure you study the lessons on intonation, study the lessons on TOEFL Independent Speaking Strategies, and then study the lesson on how to make your speaking more coherent. So that's kind of how it works. As you complete the practice test, I give you feedback, and I will tell you which areas of my course you should focus on the most in order to get better. Alrighty, and thank you for doing this practice test, And happy holidays to you again. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.